How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Legends of the Unknown. I want to welcome back Matt and Frank.
Hey guys.
Today we're going to get into a legend that mostly everyone knows about. If not, I think they've been living under a rock a little bit. But we're going to dive into the legend of D.B. Cooper, aka Dan Cooper. So, what do you guys think of this legend right offhand?
I think it's true. I personally believe that he's still alive somewhere, or depending on what was it, like 70s?
71.
71. He might still be alive. I know he was in his 40s, so he may be a very old man at this point, but I think he was a very smart dude and knew what he was doing.
What do you think?
Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
It's I hate to be nonchalant, but I mean it didn't affect my life and so forth. And if he is alive, good on him. But from what I remember of the details, especially the jump height,
Yeah.
I don't know if he could have survived
Okay.
the jump itself. So
All right.
They were talking
So,
about the military thing, you know.
Let's dive into this, and we'll get back. We'll get back on track with what you're saying. So, so it did happen in 1971, November 24th, 1971. Cooper, who was a quiet person in his mid 40s, right? Who said he was in his 40s? You did. Okay. He boarded a flight Northwest Orient, which I'm pretty sure they're not even around anymore. But this plane was flight 305 was flying from Portland, Oregon to Seattle, Washington. Shortly after leaving, D.B. Cooper handed a note to the flight attendant saying that his briefcase was essentially wired, and he demanded 4 parachutes, $200,000 in $20 bills, and that he would roughly today would be about $1.2 million. So it sounds like this guy also had it planned out.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, especially in the 1970s. I think it's weird to think about these legends and stories because nowadays you would never see this. I shouldn't say never see this happen, but it was like kind of a hitchhiker, where hitchhikers have all this stuff planned out and so forth. So this kind of is what it reminded me of. It's a 1971 story of a person, a hitchhiker, and now this legend has grown.
Yep.
But to your point, I think it's true. I believe he survived it. So, go on from there. After landing in Seattle, Cooper released 36 passengers after authorities handed in the money and the parachutes. He would force 2 pilots, which I think you just said that, a flight engineer, flight attendant to remain on flight. After the plane had refueled, the plane went back up in the air, and he said, head for Mexico City. And that's where it took off. Do you think anything out of the ordinary from this?
Did he not switch planes? Because it was either he had planned on the specific plane, or switch planes when they landed. Because if he picked the plane that had the extendable stairs out the straight back for the sole purpose of jumping.
So from what I read, he never got off the plane. It was just straight, I'll give you the passengers, you give me what I requested.
And he requested more parachutes because if he had requested only 1, then they could have tampered with it. So he requested 4, so that way everybody had a parachute, so there was less chance of someone tampering with one of them. So he was very, very smart about everything he did.
agreed, yeah.
We'll come back to that in this discussion. Sorry. No, because I'm glad you brought that up, because I didn't know that part. So after he received the money and he started heading for Mexico, also, in my opinion, he knew what he was doing. He also sat around and thought about this. When they were heading back to Mexico, he controlled the speed of the plane and the height of the plane. So the plane never went over 200 knots, and it never went above 10,000 feet.
Oh, yeah, he survived.
Okay. So change your mind already.
Oh, they weren't 30,000 feet.
Okay, yeah.
You know he did parachute into a wooded area,
Mm-hmm.
a very tall wooded area.
Which,
The sketch in itself,
Yeah.
which is what leads most people to think that he didn't make it, was because of how wooded the area was when he jumped.
well, the drift, depending on the winds or
Yeah.
so forth too. I mean, if he was a skilled parachutist,
Mhm.
you know, you pull your risers, you can drift, you know, control your drift, head for a clearing.
Yep.
So,
He had
What?
those parachutes he had requested though were military parachutes, if I remember correctly. So they.
I
that's why-
just know that the authorities gave him to him, so if that is a military.
That's what
That's-
most people
that's-
think that has some sort of military background is because he requested those parachutes in general. So.
yeah, he's familiar with
Mhm.
how to operate a serum, etc. So yeah.
So around 8 p.m. while flying over Ariel, Washington, Cooper loaded the ramp of the back of the plane and jumped out and disappeared. Gone. It is speculated that Cooper was in the military and had experience as a parachuter. What makes this unusual is after the investigation, it was determined that Cooper was an inexperienced skydiver
How would they know that?
because they gave him a parachute that is reserve parachute sewn shut. And that's the one he used.
So so he had a main and a reserve, or just a reserve parachute, and that's what he used.
The way that he had it explained was he had one and then the reserve was sewn shut.
Okay.
So if the first one would have failed,
yeah,
he never would have.
that's what we call it. He's a dirt dart
Yeah.
at that point. So no, it's okay. But if your chute is already packed up from the 40 plus jumps I've got from the Army, your reserve is already packed up as well. And if it's sewn shut, you're not going to know. There's so many stitches and so forth in that stuff anyway. Yeah.
So he just grabbed a parachute thinking, this is ready to rock and roll, let's go, and he jumped down.
So, and my other question is, was it a true free fall parachute, like sport chute as they call it, the rectangular, or was it a true
If it was a
military?
military one, it'd be super easy to fly down. Those things are pretty much automatic, right?
The free fall ones,
Mhm.
sport chutes? No, you still have to pull
Pull.
the cord. But the other one is what used for static line jumping. And they call it the T10, the round parachutes that we use all the time. You have to hook up your cord to a static line that runs down the aircraft, or if he did on the back. And I don't know if they said that he hooked up a static line, so as soon as you jump out, it pulls the chute out for you. Because otherwise, there's about 10 feet of cord that as he's falling, he's got to control descent in and pull this.
I thought that
Right.
those were the ones that he had requested, the circular ones.
Alright, then when they landed, there would be ripcord or the cord and then the chute bag
Okay.
dangling. So but did they describe that
No.
in this?
They didn't find out.
And-
They found it.
No. But
He's a dirt dart.
here's the thing.
I'm back to
He survived this. Nah, he didn't. He didn't.
plane.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to determine the end of the story. So what they did say was he just lowered the ramp and just jumped out. There was no description of how he did it. It was just more so
Because he went to the back and
yeah,
no one went with him.
right. So after the first 5 years, the FBI sorted through over 800 reports but none of them matched the DNA off the tie that Cooper left behind right before he jumped. So let me ask you this. One, why would he leave evidence behind?
Throw people off.
On purpose.
Yeah.
Okay, I can understand that. But
then again, they didn't have DNA testing back then.
Right.
DNA testing wasn't until what, the late 80s, early 90s? Yeah.
Well, my question to you is, would a tie or anything like that interfere with a parachute?
No.
Any cords, anything like that?
Generally, no. Anything above here, especially a tie, is a flimsy piece of cloth. No, it's not going to keep a parachute from opening.
Because that was one thing that, I mean, honestly, throwing him off his trace, but I thought that was weird that he just threw his tie, took it off and jumped out.
Which, I mean, yeah.
So I didn't know if there was something linked to that.
Well, no, and to me that tells me that he had some experience, because you don't want that tie,
Flapping in your face.
flying in your face if you're going down, also, so.
That's true. I could see that. So after our 5-minute break, we're going to get back to the story. So,
Here, military issue 9B6. 9-1 parachute with a
is that what you had?
conical canopy.
So there you go. It's canopy.
Okay, well, yeah, every shoe's got a canopy, otherwise it's not.
Right,
a
but
shoe.
is it, no, but isn't
The
the
conical is, that's a standard issue.
9B6. You know what that is?
Yep. It was a precursor to the ones I used, but still, it's just a round shoe. You can barely steer it by just pulling onto your static lines, the four or the right.
But once you get it open, it's pretty easy to go down.
Once it's open, I mean, it doesn't provide as much steerability as a sport shoe, rectangular ones we have today. So if he's jumping on 10,000 feet, yeah, he's got a long drift. Holy crap! And I hope he snugged up the straps around the boys, because otherwise, if he didn't, there are a couple times that you get that chute open, and whoa, you can imagine,
right. Oh yeah,
exactly.
I get
so if he's an amateur and had gone through all this stuff, I don't know, but
Okay, so time out from the story. That's where I am, I guess, complexed about this story, is because there's some stuff where you say, okay, he had all this planned out. He had to have some type of training, something.
Mhm.
But then, fast forward to more information, and they're saying, oh yeah, he was inexperienced, and so that throws me off. Like,
What if they're trying to throw everybody else off in terms of not wanting to make a copycat type of deal?
Okay.
Yeah.
Glad you brought that up, because back to the story.
Not that you can copycat it, because the planes don't have those
The rear ramp thing. Yeah.
No, but there was one prime suspect by the name of Richard Floyd McCoy. He pulled the same crime months later. So your copycat, they either thought he was D.B. Cooper, or obviously he was being copycat for what has been out in the news. He would later escape from prison, and then end up being killed in a shootout with the FBI.
Good way to go.
So,
But did he look like DB?
no. The flight attendants that gave the description said he does not look like D.B. Cooper.
Then, yeah, he wasn't DB.
Copycat.
But let me ask you this.
Yep.
How hard is it to change your hair?
It'd be facial structure for me, because they came out with
Exactly.
two, I'm pretty sure it was two separate composites. And one was there's a black and white, the other one was color, and they pretty much looked identical. And the color one was more detailed, so it'd be hard to, if you look at someone.
The reason why I asked that is because he's wearing sunglasses the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
He had his face partially covered. So even though you could kind of tell like the jawline and stuff, you don't get that full description of the face.
Or the eyes. Like most people, when they see someone in the eyes, they can tell that person again when they look at them in the eyes. If he's wearing sunglasses the entire time, yeah, that would throw someone off. If they would see him directly, they wouldn't really know. It would just kind of be speculation.
Right. So how hard is it to, in the coming months, change your hair, change your clothing, and now you're just.
It depends on the changes between D.B. Cooper and McCoy's instance.
Mm-hmm.
What were the changes made, or the difference between the faces, kind of deal? So was it stuff that truly could happen? Was the hair longer on McCoy? Did he have more weight on it?
Yeah.
Versus,
Well,
or was it the opposite?
I'm going to pull up Richard Lloyd McCoy. I think it's actually Floyd. Richard Floyd McCoy. So.
Oh, yeah, that kind of looks like the composite.
That's Richard Floyd.
That kind of looks like him.
Okay.
I mean, pull them.
Yeah, go ahead, pull it.
Alright. The pictures I remember of Cooper, I mean, the jaw was a little bit more square, but that's the same guy.
Yeah.
Oh.
But
Found.
now here's where it gets interesting. Yeah,
What's the reward for information on this?
it's closed.
Yeah.
It's closed.
It's probably
Say
dead.
we just saw it. Come on, FBI, where are you at?
So.
Got a bunch of amateurs. Just
Hey,
use your-
hang on. Don't put your foot in your mouth yet. All right, just hang on. So you have a prime suspect to go after, Richard McCoy.
Yeah.
Case solved. Right?
Nope.
Wrong.
Had a third incident?
No. They never brought him up on anything because they could not get a clear identification of the guy. But looking at that and that, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty
Same, I mean, the hairline, I mean, everything's.
The ears.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I never looked at it like that.
So, about if McCoy died in a shootout,
Mm-hmm.
so they never brought him up on charges on the hijacking. He was in jail for something else.
They brought him not on the D.B. Cooper. They brought him up on the Colorado one.
So yeah.
So
they got
he,
him
yeah,
So-
they got him on one.
Was it the same exact thing?
on the MO.
Yeah, same copycat.
Exactly. He probably got away with it once. And was like, shit, I'll do this again.
Exactly. Bank robbers, notorious for they get that one out from underneath their belt, get that confidence going, like, oh yeah, here we go.
John Dillinger and
Well, they even did something with like, have you guys ever seen Prison Break?
no, but I got a funny story about that after the show.
Well, in Prison Break, they actually have D.B. Cooper in jail,
Oh yeah.
and he helps them because he's got money stashed away because he's in prison, and he's got money hidden away in this secret location, and he pretty much dies in prison. And was like, here's the money that I stole. So that's fictional, but
Okay.
still interesting the
Well,
way
it's not really fictional.
because he was in
Fictional.
jail.
I understand that, and I'll get that too, because there's so many spider webs off this legend. So in the 1980s, FBI received a tip from a boy who came across a decaying package near the Columbia River, which is like around Portland, Oregon.
Mhm.
It contained $5,800, all $20 bills, and all those bills were connected to the ransom money.
71.
What?
From 71.
Yeah, from 71. So this bag was buried in the dirt.
So probably spread it out. So he didn't keep all the money in one spot. He probably spread it out in different locations.
But you thought you made it,
Right.
right? And now you thought he was a dirt dart.
Dirt dart.
So
No, it's all right.
The
So
copycat that sells it for me.
here's my theory. No, I think he made it, but if I was to believe that he did, he was a dirt dart, I would say that somebody else found him. If he landed in a wooded area, he got hung up in the trees or who knows what, perished in that jump. Somebody else, it's gonna make the news right away.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Somebody else, a hunter, is out there. They see this parachutist in the trees or laying in the ground. It's all mangled up, whatever. Sees the money, puts two and two together, says F the FBI in this country. I'm getting my money, and then takes it and then stashes it.
Yeah.
But the problem I have is didn't they have one of the biggest manhunts of all time for him at the time?
Yeah.
Like they set up a massive perimeter and just went
But-
through.
Here's another thing too. Let's say I came across that $1,500. I didn't want to say anything to anyone. I'm just walking down the street, found it,
You don't have to
cash money in my pocket, right?
Mhm.
When those are spent, those go back to the database.
even,
I'm assuming.
even back in the 70s.
Well,
I'm sure because they tracked it somehow.
once it
Yeah,
gets
yeah.
back at that time, yes. Once it gets back to the bank, and then they do their whole spiel.
Even
Yes.
that's too late.
But when it's in general circulation, that could be a month or two, at least,
Years.
or yeah.
But-
Or that.
I understand that. But I'm saying then
So-
the league goes back to, which I don't know what the cameras were like back in the 70s, but the leagues would go back to you, Ron Hunt
They
Street,
didn't have cameras.
in the 70s.
No.
I don't know, man. I'm 80s, sorry. I'm 80s.
I'm 90s.
So, found $5,800. The bills came back and matched serial numbers, and no more leads were found.
Okay.
All right. Where did the parachute go?
He probably packed it. If he made it, I think he would have either packed it away, buried it,
Yeah.
or just burned it. One of the two.
And that's why I think he survived.
Because there was no parachute.
Because there's no parachute found. There's $200,000 worth of cash, and he only found 5,800 of it.
Yeah.
So,
It'd still be buried somewhere.
I mean, it could, but
I mean-
someone has to bury it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You put to roll up a parachute, especially as we did, we had a bag that we stuffed them in when we got to the objective or landed. It was only probably yay big around, about yay deep. Yeah.
Terrible.
So to bury it is not difficult at all.
And then vast woods like that.
But if he didn't have that bag to still bury, the parachute, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just silk or nylon.
But that's where I'm getting hung up at, is people are saying he's essentially a dirt dart because he didn't survive the fall.
But if you're the person who saw this guy, this dead person on the ground or so, the parachute, whatever, holy crap, there's 200K.
You get rid of the evidence as well.
Exactly. Now, I'm not saying I would, because I'm an honest citizen, and I would turn him in, and I would not keep the money at all, but,
But there's so many things
yeah.
that are leading back to he had to make it because all this stuff is missing.
Yeah.
There's no trace of it. And the investigation is saying I didn't. He was inexperienced. He couldn't survive that.
That's still a cover-up. though.
The way the weather was that night, because it was kind of crappy weather, and
Winds blew into the ocean.
Yeah.
How far away from the ocean did he jump out?
well, where's Ariel, Washington? It's got to be on the.
So if he's heading towards Mexico City, that's all over dry land.
Mhm.
So that's heading away from the ocean.
Is it Ariel?
Ariel, Washington. Sorry.
So, yeah, I'm totally discounting getting blown into the ocean, especially with 10,000 feet. You're not going to drift that far laterally. So
That's Ariel, Washington, just north of Portland.
it was the
So why does he-
There's no way. There.
Okay, so he went from Portland to Seattle, and then from Seattle down to Mexico City.
Or jump around there.
Yeah.
So what about this? What if he actually didn't jump? What if he stashed himself in the aircraft?
Because they picked apart the aircraft afterwards.
But he's already got the suit on or whatever maintenance crew suit on, and just as soon as the aircraft.
Well, he jumped out in a suit, black tie and all that stuff.
I'm saying, what if he stashed himself somewhere like in the wheel well, you know, people do whatever kind of suit thing.
Shut up.
Yeah, and then he just walked away.
But when you think,
Plot twist.
someone see that, but like, you look awfully familiar.
Well, no, the issue,
Because all the FBI, and authorities are interviewing the crew. They're, you know, rushing towards the
But
front
when-
to get on the plane.
wouldn't they know who the crew were?
He's acting like a ground crew. They going out, and, you know, they go out to secure the aircraft, put the chocks in, you know, all that stuff. So
I
he's.
just figured this whole.
That doesn't explain the money on the ground though, right?
No, but I figured out this whole case right now.
All right, let's hear it.
He's D.B. Cooper.
Oh shit, where's the money, bro?
Oh no! Oh man, they found me.
I say, how do you think I was able to afford these cheap, you know,
Oh yeah,
faux wood blinds, brother?
yeah.
Right there, that 200,000 that would be.
He would be living in fucking Ohio,
Hell
No,
no.
no.
and he'd be dead by this point.
Gone. There's no way. Mexico, whatever. I wouldn't.
Well, did Mexico have extradition with the U.S. at that time?
I'm not 100% sure.
So
I
it's
know-
one of those like.
I know every
I
case
would
is.
go.
Yeah, I know every case is like. From my understanding, it's based upon the case. If they'd extra or not.
Granted, but they still have extradition rights
Yeah.
with many countries.
Yeah.
I know there's a few that we do not have rights with at this time. So,
Russia.
and I know Mexico used to be one of those. That's why.
As far as I know, it's Canada and Mexico. Well, yeah.
Russia, you've got
Europe, we got all
Snowden.
I know. I'm saying that just on the mainland,
Oh,
Oh,
Mexico and Canada, they do
no,
extra.
continental.
So we're at this point now. Do you think he survived? Do you think he survived?
Yes, I do.
I think he did too. I don't think.
I think he died in that shootout.
You,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Do you think it was Richard McCoy?
Yep. The picture looks too similar.
I mean, yeah. After I never pulled them up side by side, but after like seeing that, yeah, drawing.
I think he got into his head that he could do it again and do it successfully, just like he did before, and
Yeah.
second time didn't turn out too well.
His ego got him.
He just took the money and
Yeah.
played low.
Invested, man, he'd be living large right now.
Well, he'd be the 70s, so
He'd be in the 90s.
Yeah, he'd be in- so he'd be.
Yeah. Most likely he's dead by now,
Yeah.
regardless.
These kind of stories are.
But yeah,
interesting
obviously
because
for the shootout. But if he
Right.
lived, 90, yeah.
It's like this in the Zodiac. Those kind of people that have never been caught. It just is still a question mark, or just that kind of stuff just intrigues me.
Yeah, because it's
You'll never see it these days either because technology is so good. They would have found that dude within 2 or 3 days.
well, and the thing is after 20, 30 years of stuff,
Mm.
the myths, not the legend, the myths of it grow.
Oh yeah.
And, like, you ever watch Without a Paddle?
Yep. They go into his little hole
Yeah.
that he went into. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, they fall in his trap and break his, I don't know if they broke their leg, but I think he did hurt his leg or whatever. He's like, oh my God, I can't get out of here. You gotta send me help. And the dude was buried in his parachute with all the cash, and then another guy comes back and is like, that's my money, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, it's kind of the end of the movie. But it's all based on D.B. Cooper.
Ah, gotcha.
So yeah, both, yeah, movies.
Where they incorporate this kind of stuff because it's such it is a question mark. It's something that hasn't been figured out. So why not incorporate it into more urban legends?
So, I said we'd get back to that, right? there's a guy on his deathbed. There's so many deathbed confessions that they're D.B. Cooper. And the one guy, which they proved to be false, but the one guy said, you know, my brother was D.B. Cooper, he had all this money, he lived low, and he had all this money, like, in his bank account right after he died. Well, they did the transactions, and he sold properties. That's why he had that much money in his bank account. But there's over 1,000 people from 1971 to 2016 that they interviewed or had suspicions about.
Yeah.
1,000 people.
Well, yeah, you gotta track that. You gotta eliminate every single possibility.
Some people just want their 15 minutes of fame.
Exactly.
Well, there's like Barbara Daytona something, Cooper maybe. Like there's females even tied into this D.B. Cooper legend.
That sketch, that's not a chick or a lady.
Did they even
Right.
let women into the military back in the 70s?
Oh yeah.
I didn't know
Even
that.
before World War II, I mean, boys been.
It wasn't doctors and stuff, right? Not as like combat.
No, not combat arms. No, that
Somebody that would know how parachutes work and like trajectory, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the first woman wasn't allowed into airborne school, the parachute school, until the early 80s, like 81, I think it was. And now, yeah, they're. Yeah,
And that wasn't that long ago either.
No.
81.
Yeah, he's
Like think about it, it's not really that long ago.
what, 30 years?
40.
40 years? Yeah. That's old. That's old, people.
All right. Well, did you enjoy this episode?
Oh, yeah, I loved it. Loved
Did you
stuff
enjoy
like
it?
No, not at all.
No.
The bad guy didn't win. He got shot.
Oh, okay. You think he got shot?
Yeah, I think it was McCoy. It's
He
obviously
should've just
McCoy,
stayed low.
but-
Stayed low.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Like I said, stay low, invested, so that
One
money.
large.
Exactly.
Dead. 6 feet in the ground.
Yep, buy a couple properties, use that to funnel your money. Man, he'd be good. Living large in the Bahamas. Said no, he had to be ballsy and try it again. And knucklehead.
Yeah. You got what is it once? Why not try it twice, right?
Something like that? No, you don't try it twice. You got away with it once.
Obviously, he did.
Live the knucklehead.
The issues I have is if he had like knew that they're probably looking at that kind of thing again for that kind of event to happen again, why would you try that again, right?
Right. Why would you try it a few more
They're
times?
looking for copycats.
Yeah.
Especially right after when it's fresh in everyone's mind.
You know what?
Moron.
And after this, I'm gonna look up the whole story on Cooper or Richard McCoy as well. So maybe we'll have a part 2 of this. So going back to it, you think he survived?
I think he survived and died.
You think he survived?
Yep.
All right. I think he survived. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. We really like to hear your guys' interpretation of this legend. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Have a good one, guys.
Peace.